Time for the morning commute to the office. Morning, chickens. Eat that new grass. They don't know what to make of the camera. We make our morning commute out to the field, but meanwhile I see people zipping by on cars making their morning commute to wherever they're working, and I think to myself, I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore. Oh wow, the bulls didn't eat all their hay from yesterday. That's a never happen, but I opened the door to the pasture yesterday and they're out there munching grass now. Morning, little pigs. Why are you scared of me? Oh, it rained again last night. Poured. Oh well. Hey, turkeys. Hillary hasn't fluffed their bedding yet for the morning. Easy, there you go. These guys are 2 weeks old now. He's not happy. Some of them are strutting and gobbling now at 2 weeks old. Unbelievable. There's a couple strutting. Wow. It's time for breakfast and the sun's starting to peek out. I hope that hangs around. Today's a day of bits and pieces. I'm not sure what the weather's going to do. It might rain, and Hillary's got to go to market this afternoon, so it's little jobs today. And the first job is to move some feed around.
When our wagons get filled, they come out here to the pasture, and this is for the broilers, and we have a broiler cart that we use to put the feed in, and the cart follows the broilers around the pasture. I'll try to do this without getting it all over.
We have very little problem with spoilage in these gravity wagons, and I think that the key is that these are heavy vinyl tarps. If we were using canvas tarps, you'd have more of a problem with condensation or even seepage through the old style canvas tarps, but these are truly waterproof. We do get a little bit of spoilage around the seams of these old gravity wagons, and it's not a big deal. It'll clump right around where the water's seeping in. We just pick that out. The feed doesn't get moldy or anything like that. It stays nice and you can smell it. It smells good. The gravity wagons work out just fine.
There's probably a more efficient way to do this, but it works for us, and we're using what we have. And
yeah, for the efficiency Al's out there, which is a whole genre of comments. Yes, there's probably a more efficient way to do it, but Works fine for us, and it's really not a big deal in the overall labor on the farm. And then to feed the broilers, because we have them on a diet, they get a prescribed amount of feed each day. We have hash marks on the bucket that are the different weights of feed, so we know what to feed them each day.
And then for the layers, we have different wagons. They have different feed, and I just use some garbage cans because that keeps the feed dry. And I'll use a couple buckets to carry their allotment over to wherever they are. It's not usually very far.
The layers were all here at the fence. They know we're up to something with their food. That's it for that job. And the next job is to clean out the pigs' pens. All right, Brownie. Time for pen cleaning. The little ones. Time for the piglets to freak out. No, plate shaving. Yeah. Still 7 piglets, and they're filling out really nice. Hillary and I haven't gotten around to castrating the males yet. I guess we're going to do that tomorrow. What are you doing, Brownie? Hey! What are you doing? You want to scratch, don't you? Pigs love a scratch in the middle of the back. I think it's because they have the toughest time itching there. All right, Red and John, you guys want to go on a walkabout? There we go. These guys just keep dragging in mud from their outdoor run, and I keep having to clean it out. Back in you go. Down their feet in the floor in there. There you go. I put a little feed in the corner to get John to come back in. He's a guy who looks after his stomach first and foremost. He's going to stay in here with Red for another heat cycle. He bred her last week, but we like to leave him in for one more just to make sure that she's bred. All right, pigs. I'll see you later. Now it's time for my favorite job of the day. You guys have something to tell me? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I'm listening. Yeah, uh-huh. What a motley crew you are. I feel like something's breathing down my neck. Is somebody following me? We have the back fence set up now, so this is the third day on this pasture. Back fence there. We moved the front fence and then move the back fence over and extend the aisleway. I'll show you. Now we move the back fence. We set the new corner between the aisle and the back fence, and now we draw the back fence over to its new location. Then we jumper the back fence aisle to side reels and add one post on the aisle fence. It keeps continuing itself outward. And then jumper the aisle fence to the main fence. And we're done. We do this every day that they're on pasture, and this paddock is about 80 feet wide by 300 feet long. It takes us about 15 minutes without the walk up and down here, and the walk up and down here is for exercise. And this is what gets left behind in yesterday's paddock. And these good things as well. I got some comments earlier in the year, why are you leaving so much behind? And another comment, you should do zero graze where you just mow and chop it all and bring it up to the cows. Well, that kind of runs against what our farm's about. First of all, we like to bring the animals to the food rather than vice versa because it requires less fuel, and it's in the cow's nature to graze, so we wouldn't take that away from them. The second thing is, this trample that you see is not waste. It becomes part of the soil, at least a percentage of it does. It insulates the soil during dry weather. It helps develop good bacteria and soil life because it's an insulating layer that's on top of the soil that's gradually breaking down and becoming part of the soil. It's one of the ways that we keep our pastures growing strong, that is. This paddock from yesterday is pretty much exactly what I like to see in terms of percentage graze versus trample. I've got a nice mat remaining on the bottom of it. The other thing that happens is that this pasture will recover more quickly with it like this. If you mow it and then take it up to the cows, you'll stall the grass growth, because that grass, when it's, you know, this tall or this tall, it takes a week or two to really start its growth cycle again. You don't want to cut it too short. So moving them off of this has a lot of merits. And one of the greatest merits to what we do, in my opinion, is this experience of the cattle grazing on the pasture, listening to them munch the grass. This is natural. It's not mechanized, it's not industrial. It's the animal interfacing with nature the way that it was meant to. It's the relationship that counts. Another thing about grazing the way we do is it's completely flexible. This is a 5-acre fenced field, 300 feet side to side. So when we come down it with strips, we can adjust the strip width with temporary fencing based on the grazing conditions. So now we're running 80 feet wide. We could run however wide that we want, depending on how tall the grass is. It's my favorite part of every day, moving the cattle. I love it, even in the pouring rain. Well, maybe not in the pouring rain. I have to pack for market now. Hillary's going this afternoon, but while I'm packing the stuff, I thought I could tell you all a little story. And it does have a point at the end, trust me. When I first got out of college in 1991, there were no architecture jobs to be had. When I entered college in 1986, architecture was booming, but architecture is boom and bust based on the building cycle, which seems to go up and down every 5 to 7 years. I was living in Syracuse because that's where I had gone to school, so I sent my resume around to all the firms in town, and there were about 50 at the time, and I got absolutely no responses. So I put in a listing with one of those temporary employment agencies, and a couple days later I got a call from a man in Liverpool that owned a landscaping company, and he said, "I've got summer work for you." I said, "Great." And I went to work for him, mowing lawns on commercial properties. Now when winter came and there was no lawn mowing to be done, I drove a sweeper truck and swept parking lots at night. So I'd make a big circuit around the Syracuse metropolitan area, sweeping parking lots with a rig mounted on a truck. And also when it snowed outside, I would drive a pickup truck or a loader to clear out the parking lots. And that was my job for 2 years. Over time, I got discouraged. After 2 years in working this job, I thought I am significantly underemployed. I went to college to a professional school, which is supposed to lead directly to a job, but the economy had killed that. Well, by this time, the economy had started to come around, so I sent out another round of resumes. And this time, I got a response. Ashley McGraw Architects in Syracuse was hiring, and they gave me a call and said, why don't you come in on Friday and we'll interview you. So I got my portfolio together, I went in, and the interview went pretty well. And that afternoon, they called me back and said, we'd like you to start on Monday. And I said, great. Well, that happened to be the weekend of the blizzard of '93, and Syracuse got 50-some inches of snow in 3 days, starting that Friday afternoon. And I worked all night and day, all weekend, plowing snow for the landscape company I was working for. And Monday morning, I went into work at my new architecture firm without having had very much sleep at all. I guess that's the benefit of youth. And I worked there for 20 years. And you all know how that story ended. Here I am on the family farm. The point of the story is that it's good to experience a diversity of things. When I was in high school, I had jobs digging holes, trimming trees, planting trees, taking care of nursery plants, food service. I did just about everything. And when I got out of college, I had the flexibility to move into something that wasn't my career. In fact, it was the exact opposite probably. But when I grew unhappy in my career, I had a range of experiences to draw from, as well as growing up on this farm, to say, well, these are the things that I like, and I think I want to point my life in this direction. So if you're unsure of where to go in your life, it's good to draw back on your prior experiences and start to pull those things out that you enjoyed, and then you can build up what you think the direction may be that you should be headed in. And honestly, I wish the system worked differently, because when I was in high school, it was expected if you were a successful student that you went to high school, to college, to your permanent career. Well, at 18 years old, I think very few people have any idea how they want to spend the rest of their life. It's funny the places life leads us to. I hope you have a great day. This is the end of my video, and I'll see you next time.